Welcome to a Map Business Online video presentation. And today we're going to talk about the Change Columns button. That may sound like a new button to some of you old-time Map Business Online users, and it may just sound like a button to some of you new Map Business Online users. But along the toolbar up here, you'll notice the Data Window toolbar. And I'm simply going to click on the Data Window toolbar and point out down in the lower right is a button called Choose Columns. And for those of you that have been around for a long time, you'll notice that that is the place where the More Data button was. We changed the name from More Data to Choose Columns. It's a very powerful button. It was when it was More Data, and it remains powerful as Choose Columns. It's got exactly the same functionality. If we look at any data layer in the data window, so you could have business listings, you could have data that you've imported, you could have territory or zip code map layers, any of the map layers. You click on any layer and you'll see down in the bottom the Choose Columns button. We open that button up and on the right you will see the columns that you've got in your data layer, and on the left you'll see opportunities for you to pull in more columns of data. Let's look at a more complex map layer. Let's look at zip codes. So now in this particular case, my zip code layer is just the default layer that Map Business Online provides. I can choose columns down below on the right, and then on this right panel, I can move superfluous data to the left. So if I think primary county isn't necessary for my particular analysis, I can select it and move it. I can do the same with any other column, and then I can just click Set Data Columns in the lower right, and I've cleaned up my palette of my data list. It's a nice way to prepare data for export. Let's go to a data set that we might want to add information to. Let's say it's a territory data set. And I'm going to just dive into my first territory created here. You can see I misspelled it. Congratulations on that, Jeffrey. So I'm going to click Choose Columns. Over on my right, I've got these 4 columns, and I think I'm going to just leave those the way they are. I like those opportunities. You can see I've already moved some data over. Um, and I'm going to grab some demographic data and pull that over to the right. I'm going to use that little blue arrow to just take any data that I select and move it to the right. And you can group it if you want to do more. You can hold the control key down and move data over and then set those data columns. Now I've added demographic data to my analysis. If I have calculated data columns available, and I think in my territory function, I do not have calculated data columns ready yet. So I would have to create those, but those would be available here. Demographic data is available. And that general function is going to give you a bunch of geographic data options. So you could go in there and grab, some different columns of data. So for instance, if you wanted to put the territory count and the territory name in all of your exportable data for this particular view, there it is. You've got that to bring over. I'm going to just look at the calculated data columns here for territories. So if I go to territories in the map and data tab and I go down to manage calculated data columns, you can see I have this older Americans function here. So I do have a calculated data column function there. And just to show you what that is that gives you the ability to take multiple layers. So all of my population, 69 up to 65 up to 85 years old, I've moved from the left over here to the right and calculated data columns, and then I've updated that information. So I do have a calculated data column available to me to work within my territory functionality. All of that information is available to you in the Choose Columns button in the data column. Very powerful. Once you get that all established and to your liking, you have the ability to export that data right here. You just click export, decide how you might want to export if there's some options listed, and then click next, and that'll go out as a CSV file which you can save to your desktop. Go to mapbusinessonline.com and try that Choose Columns button. It's very powerful.